Let's go. Alright guys, welcome back. We got the fire team on the bench, and today's the day we're going to be beefing up this bad boy. So I want to quickly go over what parts I've got for this thing. So let's start off with the chassis. So we've got a Arrma Mojave 6S EXB 7075 chassis, perfectly straight. Then guys, we've got a load of Basherqueen carbon fiber parts. So this is the chassis brace, and absolutely blown away. The quality of work on this part is unbelievable. So we've got 7075 ends on both ends, and then we've got a carbon fiber tube all the way through the middle. So I want to say a massive shout out to Kimberly, aka the unofficial Basherqueen, for sending me out these parts. They look absolutely epic. So anyway guys, got a center brace for it. Then guys, we've got a load of Basherqueen parts. I can't even hold them in my hand, they're that many. So let's go over what we've got here guys. We've got a carbon fiber top plate. We've got a carbon fiber steering rack Arrma plate. Then we've got some steering plates in carbon fiber as well. Then we've got the rear shock tower. That looks absolutely awesome. And then we've got the front shock tower as well guys. Next we've got an ESC plate in carbon fiber. This ESC plate is designed to be able to mount up the Max 6, Max 8, the BLX, and most likely the Spectrum as well. It doesn't mention it on there, but we'll know because that's what we've got installed on the fire team, so we'll find out shortly. Then guys, we've got the carbon fiber and 7075 aluminium servo mount as well guys. That looks absolutely awesome. So next guys, we've got the carbon fiber servo spacers, and these are 3 different sizes, hence why there's so many of them, depending on which servo you use. Next guys, we've got this is the Lockable Servo Saver kit, pure steering force servo saver kit, it says on the label. Absolutely awesome. And then lastly guys, we've got a set of carbon fiber mudguard. That looks epic. So guys, that's all the parts that I've got for the fire team. And before I start any kind of installation guys, one thing I do want to go over is the pricing of all of these parts. So let's go over here first. So what's awesome about Kimberly's eBay shop is she does package deals as well guys. So you can buy all of these parts individually, or you can buy them as packages as well, and buying them as packages you will get them a lot cheaper. So we'll start off with this little package here. So this package here, which includes the front, the rear tower, the front tower, the Arrma plate, the top plate, and the steering plates as well. So this package would cost you around £78, which is equivalent to $98. And then going forward, we've got the ESC plate designed to fit the Max 6, Max 8, the BLX, and most likely the Spectrum firmware as well. So that's the ESC plate in carbon fiber. So next we've got the servo mount, and this would cost you around £24 or $30, and that is highly recommended guys. The servo saver that comes with the RTR fire team has a lot of play in it, so highly recommended upgrading that. To go along with the mount guys, we've got some servo saver spacers. This would cost you around £10, $12. And then we've got the Pure Force Lockable Servo Saver kit, and this will cost you around £26, $32. And I assume that this is 7075. I'm not too sure with that, but the servo mount has definitely got some 7075 goodies in there as well. And then we've got here the carbon fiber mudguard set, and this would cost you around £25, around $30. And then lastly guys, we've got the center brace. This looks absolutely awesome. That would cost you around £44, which is equivalent to around $54. So guys, all of this kit here, if you were to purchase it today from eBay, it would cost you around £247, excluding the chassis obviously, and that would be equivalent to around $300. Now you can see there I've got the EXB Mojave chassis. I bought that brand new, taken from an RC breaker. Highly recommend you buy parts from RC breakers. These guys are selling parts that are 100% cheaper than it would cost you from the local hobby shop. And look at the quality. As I said, this is brand new. It's been taken from a Mojave that's never been used, and it cost me half the price of what it would cost you if you were to buy them brand new. So anyway guys, that's all the parts. That's the car. There's only one thing left to do. Let's get wrenching. Alright guys, so I've already gone ahead now and stripped off any excess bits. So the wheels have been taken off. I've removed the body. And if you have watched any of my previous videos, I do have a light kit on here. So I have removed them wires and I've just bunched them up and got rid of any wires that I didn't need there. So as I said guys, we've got the chassis to install now, the new 7075 one. So normally what I would do is, if I didn't have a chassis, I'd just be removing parts and exchanging and upgrading the parts, showing you how I've done that, and then putting them all back onto the original chassis. Now this chassis, although it looks pretty straight, it's actually got a bend in it, and it's bending like that. So unfortunately that's one of the reasons why I opted to go for the 7075 chassis. My fan's out. Another thing I did break guys is break this part here guys, and this holds the top arm, and this is the reason why my drive shaft popped out when I was out last with this thing. So I have got now a EXB upgraded top brace. It does come with a load of other bits, but for this EXB upgraded bits you are going to need the special pins that go with these bits as well, and then you need the 2 screws that go through at the top, which I probably do have. I wasn't supplied with this product. Again, I did buy this from an RC breaker again, so I did manage to get all of these bits here for the same price I would have had to pay for just that on its own. So I'm really happy with that. We will swap that out as well as we get to it. So first things first guys, what I'm going to do, remove all of these bits here, upgrade the bits that I need to upgrade, and then as I'm upgrading I'm going to reinstall them directly onto this chassis here. So that's the plan. Another thing I want to point out to you guys before you are going to start this install, these are the shock towers, and if you look closely at the holes for the standoffs, they're actually a 4mm hole pre-drilled for you. So the original standoffs that come with the Arrma RTRs are 3mm wide, so the screws that they use are M3 screws, and these are the M4 ones. Now MTC do some M4 standoffs, so I have ordered a set of them. They are due to arrive with me any moment, so I'm going to start this install now, so we're not wasting any time, and then when they do arrive I will swap them out. But for now I'll just put my RTR ones in there just to hold everything in check as well, just to make sure everything's hooked up and working, and when they do arrive I will swap them out. So that's something to bear in mind. If you are going to upgrade to these Basherqueen towers, you are going to need some 4mm standoffs as well. I think it's time now. Let's start wrenching. First we're going to start off with removing the chassis brace in the center, and then separating all these components out. So you've got the center section, we've got the rear section here, then we've got the front section. Separating them all out and removing them all. One tip that I do say guys is any screws that you take out, put them back in to the item that you removed them from, so when you do come to reinstalling you know exactly where these screws go. Alright guys, so this is what we're left with now. Completely stripped this chassis down, so we've got the rear and the front there. All the electronics are here, and then we've got all the plastic pieces that came off in the meantime. And you can see I've only got one screw, which I can't remember where I put. Everything else, guys, goes straight back. As I remove the parts, I put the screws back in, so I know where they're gonna go when I come to rebuild everything. So anyway guys, we are now down to the bare minimum on this chassis. So what I'm gonna do now, guys, grab the EXB chassis, pop it down next to it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start moving all of these components that are plastic parts that are left on the original chassis over to the EXB one. I have also left my receiver box in there. I think this receiver box is attached to the battery tray or is linked, so I'll just move them in one go, but everything else seems to be all good. And once we've transferred any bits that are left over to this one here, we will then start looking at opening some of this carbon fiber stuff and start installing them bits on there as well, guys. So let me get that done quickly and we're back with you shortly. Alright guys, there we have it. This is my new EXB chassis, and it's got all the plastic stuff on there along with the battery tray and the receiver box as well, guys. And this is my old one, and I don't know how well you can tell on camera, but there is a slight bend to this thing. Not too much, it's very minimal, but there is a touch to it, which I could probably bend out anyway. But anyway, we have now got a brand new straight EXB chassis, and now guys, it's going to be time to start installing some of this Basherqueen stuff. As we put things back onto this new chassis, I will change out the parts and put in these upgraded carbon fiber parts, guys. So I think first what we'll do is we'll now put in the upgraded version to the steering servo mount. So we've got the Basherqueen one, so let's get this put together. So this is now the servo removed from the old mount, and just before I do any more, I just want to quickly point out this. So both sides have got a spacer in there. Oh, well, you can see that. So with this kit I also got some spacers, and there's 3 different sizes, and it looks like it's this top one here, which is exactly the same size as the one that's on the original servo. So I'll put these in and remove the old ones. So I assume that we're going to have to use these silver bolts here. And it looks like we've got these kind of countersink spacers. So I assume it's just going to go straight through there. Straight through, like that. And let's just feed it through. Go. It's just a case of you get a nylock nut, and I assume that this goes on the bottom. So we're going to do the rest of them, get that done off camera quickly. I'll be back with you shortly. Okay guys, there's a servo mount all built up. So a quick recap, we've got the longer screws, the silver ones that are provided with the nylock nut on the end, and it's using these countersunk washers as well, and you can see there's no excess there at all, to make sure you've tightened these things down really well. Then you've got these capped head silver screws which go into the top of these cylinders all the way around, and then what we're left with are 4 of these smaller screws which are going to be going into the end of there. Now all of this is going into metal. It would probably be a good idea just to put a dab of Loctite on there, but because this is the first time I'm making this, I just want to make sure everything's hunky-dory before I put any Loctite on there. Trying to undo screws that are stripped aren't a lot of fun, guys. So anyway, this is now ready to be, it goes this way around, the wire underneath, ready to be installed like that. I'll get that done quickly and then we'll move on to the next bit. Okay, that's all in now. Next guys, I want to install the ESC plate and get the original one off there and put the new one onto it. Alright guys, so this is all the screws and the hardware that comes with the carbon fibre ESC plate. The ESC plate goes this way up. You've got a couple of screws that are countersunk, and that's how you know that the ESC plate needs to be sat up this way. On the opposite side guys, there's no countersinking. The 4 screw holes which correspond to the holes on the chassis are 1, 2, 3 and 4, and from what I can tell, these are the 4 bolts and spacers that we're going to be utilizing to put into there. Okay guys, so this is what we've got now. So as I mentioned earlier, we've got them 4 screw holes which match up with the 4 holes on the chassis itself. So what I've done is we've used the black screws and the spacer that is provided with on these 2 countersink holes, and then the other 2 holes, which are them 2 there, correspond to these longer ones. So I've fed them through from underneath and I've put the spacer on top, and it looks like the ESC just sits like that. Put a couple of nylock nuts provided onto them 2 screws, and then for these 2 here we've got these 2 tiny screws which are going to go in from underneath the chassis. So before we can mount this guys, we need to mount the ESC to the plate. You can't mount this ESC afterwards, you're going to find it very difficult. So from what I can see, what are left out of the screws that are provided, we've got 2 of these longer ones here, and then we've got 3 nylock nuts. So I'll take 2 of them nylock nuts. We're going to need to put a nut on the underside as well. So let me get that done quickly guys. Okay, so the ESC lines up with these 2 holes here. So we pop it on. Pop one of them longer screws through. There we go. and it just sticks out on the underside. And we should be able to just pop a nylock nut on the under end. Now it's time to put the ESC along with the ESC plate all in. So you got the two screws that are popping or sticking out here just to line everything up. And we'll just pop a nylock nut on the other end. Okay guys, so that is now the ESC plate installed with the ESC installed on top. And we've also got the motor and the center diff back in as well, guys. No issues other than these two screws that come up from underneath and up the top, and then you put a couple of nylock nuts onto them. Quite difficult to get into, so I ended up using something like this just to get my ratchet onto the end of it and screw it down tight, but I did manage to get to it eventually. But that's the ESC plate now installed. Obviously the steering servo is now installed as well, and it seems to be quite solid. So next guys, we're going to turn our attention to the front and rear. All of these parts still to install. So let me get set up again. Let's carry on. For the rear guys, we've got a carbon fiber rear tower to put on there, and we've got some mud guards as well, and the mud guards do come with some hardware as well, so that's really good. Alright guys, the rear is now rebuilt completely. Everything went back quite easily as well guys, there's no issues at all. So really happy with that. Now it's time to turn our attention to the front section.